I'll be your MC today as we learn more about the organization Court Appointed Special Advocates, CASA, as you well know the acronym, the children they serve and the volunteers who give those children a voice. But before we get started, I want to thank today's challenge donors, Kosair Charities, Bill and Carol Lomaica, Bill Alden, Texas Roadhouse, Ohio Valley Education Cooperative, and Oxmoor Auto Group. Please give them a round of applause. Very much grateful for your continued support of CASA and the vulnerable children in our community. So we want to start off at the very top. To start today's program, please welcome CASA's President and CEO, William Myers.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you for coming. Everybody's so excited to see each other that we're starting a little bit late, but we will hopefully get this going and you can hear more about what we do and about the children that we serve. We're so glad that you're here and that you're excited to be here. First, I want to thank some special guests. Representing our larger CASA family here this morning, we have Sally Wilson-Ernie, who is currently Deputy CEO of the National CASA GAL Association and was our first Executive Director. We're glad to have her here. Thank you. And also in our CASA family, we have Andrea Bruns, who's the State Director of the Kentucky CASA Network. Thank you for coming. I also want to thank the elected officials who are here with us today from state and local government. And in particular, I want to recognize the current and former family court judges without whom we could not do our work. So if you are a current or former judge, will you please stand for family court and be recognized? Thank you. This year, we placed a book at everyone's spot. We did this because we believe in the powerful message that it conveys. The message is the story of Keely. In this book, you will see that Keely is a superhero. She uses her powers as a superhero to be a good friend, to stand up to bullies, to soothe her brother when there are loud noises at home, and to prepare for new homes when she's removed from her parents. You see, Keely is the story of many of our CASA kids. Not only are they dealing with the complexities and the challenges of childhood, but they are also facing things that we honestly could not even imagine. They have been removed from their birth family. They've been placed with a relative or sometimes a stranger, and they've been gone from siblings that they have had to protect for so very long. And yet they're still expected to do the things that we expect of all children: to go to school, to get good grades, and to act like what we think is a, quote, normal child. But like every superhero in this story, Keely has a secret weapon. And that secret weapon is her CASA volunteer. CASA advocates are trained, dedicated individuals who make a profound and lifelong difference in the life of a child. CASAs are trained to visit with children almost weekly, to reunite siblings whenever possible, to ensure children are going to the doctor, and to ensure that they have access to education and all the resources that every child should have. CASA advocates form a team with social workers and guardian ad litems by providing a holistic view of every child's special needs. By working together with them, all of us together, CASA's guardian ad litems, social workers, parents' attorneys, everyone tries to do what's in the child's best interest. These needs are then reported to a judge who makes an informed decision on what's best in that situation. We know our volunteers make a profound difference in the lives of children, and we need more of them. Kentucky is the 5th worst state in the country for child abuse. Again, the 5th worst state. And we believe that this is vastly underreported because those numbers are from during the pandemic, when children did not have access to teachers and other professionals who reported their abuse. It's 32,000 children every year. That's 12,000 more children than can fit in the Yum Center. It's a huge number in our Commonwealth every year. And we're trying to do something to help that number. It's a daunting number, I know, but we as a community are not content to sit back and just observe this number. We are committed to being advocates for children by changing their stories. And we do this by relying on our community to make a collective impact. The simple reality is that CASA saves the lives and the future of children. Since 1984, CASA has helped thousands of children. Last year, 208 volunteers served 551 children. We're proud of that success, but we need more CASA volunteers so we can serve more children. We need superheroes. We also know that their true value is measured not just in statistics, but something immeasurable, like the stories you're going to hear today. When you were coming here today, imagine if you saw a toddler that was on the side of the street, a toddler that was crying, was in need of help. The first thing that you would do is stop your car. You would go to that toddler, pick them up, and figure out what was happening. Why are they there? Where are their family? What we're trying to do is unleash this urgent response that you would have if a child was in front of you on the side of the road, to the children that are behind closed doors and don't have people to see them, to respond to them, or to immediately help them. How can we do that? Well, we can do that because of you, because there are kids in our backyard who urgently need help, and you are the answer. Because of your support, we can shine a light on children whose stories go untold, who are not right in front of us. We know that children with a CASA get more services. They get individualized education plans, they're more likely to be adopted, and they spend 8 months less in foster care. The benefits to the child ensures that over 100 or so kids spend less time in foster care because of CASA. These are kids that are not in out-of-home placement with other family members, but in true foster care. And because of 8 months less in foster care, we save the state roughly $2 million each year in services to taxpayers and to our Commonwealth as a whole. Thank you. Thank you. To do this, we fundraise 100% of our income through grants, community partners, our sponsors who are listed at your table today, and through people like you. CASA would not be able to be the voice for hundreds of children without the dedication of every CASA volunteer. Would our CASAs, who are our secret weapons, please stand and be recognized? Thank you. Thank you for responding immediately to children in our own backyard. And thank you to all those who couldn't be here but are still CASA volunteers making a brighter future. I hope you will join them today to acknowledge that kids with a CASA have a better opportunity and that that difference begins with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Will, so much, not just for the work that you do, but for sharing all of that. And I say that because so much of what happens with young people, especially in the family courts, we don't always have access to family courts as media. Respectfully so, we shouldn't. But if there's an opportunity to share those stories, the information that you just provided, we welcome it. It's so valid, it needs to be told, and we just got to find a better mechanism for connecting all of the parts to get those stories out there. So thank you so much for not just leading CASA, but for sharing the mission. I have the privilege now of presenting the CASA Heroes of the Year. This award was created in 2014 to honor individuals and organizations that have gone above and beyond to support CASA. This year's CASA Hero Award for an individual goes to volunteer Luann Galbraith. Luann has been a CASA volunteer since 2013. For almost 9 years, Luann has been the voice for many children, serving as their friend, their mentor, and advocate in the courtroom, at home, in the school system, and the community. Her husband, who she is very proud of, is very proud of her. He has been a constant support to her, to the children she serves, and to the organization. Through gifts of time, talent, and treasure, Luann has changed the stories of almost 100 children. Congratulations and well deserved. The organization that will be receiving this year's CASA Hero of the Year award is the Louisville Bar Foundation. Since 1981, the Louisville Bar Foundation's mission has been to raise and distribute funds for the delivery of legal services to the poor and indigent, for law-related public education, and for improvement of the judiciary, the legal profession, and citizen access, rather, to the justice system. And I can't underscore enough the word access in that capacity there. The Louisville Bar Foundation, the charitable giving arm of the Louisville Bar Association, has distributed more than $3 million in grants to local organizations and is supported by attorneys, law firms, and corporations. The Louisville Bar Foundation has supported CASA since 2004. Its consistent, continued generosity has made life better for thousands of children. CASA is honored to present this award to Charles Stouffer, the board vice chair of the Louisville Bar Foundation. Please join me in congratulating the Louisville Bar Foundation. The first thing Charles asked when he walked in and introduced himself to me was if he was going to have to get up and make a speech. And the answer is yes! So one thing I should point out too, CASA, honors its volunteers. And I mentioned family court a bit ago. When I mentioned our news cameras aren't allowed in there, typically, we go in most court cases. I've been on the air for about 20 years as a journalist, and most of my experience, a lot of people don't know, is actually in the courtroom covering trials. And one thing I always say to people is I've covered or sat through more trials, murder trials down, gavel to gavel than most attorneys. But then I realized I was talking to a lot of attorneys and judges, so I noted not to say that today. So I won't. CASA's mission would not be realized without the support of the family court judges. To represent them is Judge Shelley Santry, family court judge for Division II. And Judge, I'm going to make you hang out here while I give people a full background for you. Before becoming a family court judge, Santry was a professor at the University of Louisville Brandeis School of Law for 9 years. She also served as guardia ad litem in Jefferson County Family Court. Prior to U of L, she was a Jefferson County Assistant County Attorney for 8 years, prosecuting domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse cases. She started her career as a legal aid family court attorney and was the Associate Director for the Louisville Legal Aid Society. In April of 2021, she was appointed by Governor Andy Beshear to Family Court Bench. Please join me now in welcoming Judge Shelley Santry.
Good morning. For everyone out there that knows me, they're probably a little nervous that I'm up here talking to you today. And of course, Will told me I was going to speak about a month ago, but this morning I decided to gather my thoughts. But thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to be here representing Family Court. I've been a judge now for a year. It's the best job I've ever had in my life, and I can't say anything more for my colleagues, the family court judges. They are awesome. They have taken me in, even though sometimes I'm a little annoying, and have helped me through the journey. So really, a shout out to the term. Thank you for being here. I do have some notes. They're written on napkins. You know, in thinking about today, I was like, when did I start working with CASA? And it was as a guardian ad litem about 12 years ago. And a guardian ad litem is the attorney for the child, and the CASA is the CASA for the child. So we're kind of doing the same thing for the same child, right? And I got to tell you, and I hope you take this well, as a guardian ad litem representing the child with a CASA, sometimes the CASA was a little bit of a pain. You know, you represent the child. I've got 50 to 70 cases. The CASA has one case, maybe two. And they constantly said, well, what about this? And what about that? And what about child support? And what about food stamps? And how about transportation? And where's the education? And I'm like, stop, right? But from the bottom of my heart, thank you, CASA, because you made me a better attorney. And because of that, I remember that, and on the bench, I'm going to appoint a CASA to every single case I can appoint, because you do make a difference. You are the extra eyes and ears of the case. You are focused on that family. And because of my experience as a guardian ad litem, CASA's got to be in every single case. But can we do that? There's not enough CASAs. So please consider being a CASA today. It doesn't matter who you are, what you do, be a CASA. And I noticed when Will said, let's celebrate our CASAs, there were about 10, 12 people that stood up, and that really struck me. I want to say, because our CASAs are out there saying, where's the education? Where's the transportation? Where's the food stamps, right? That's why they're not enjoying this beautiful breakfast. But please consider being a CASA. We need more. And so now I'm going to challenge you to talk amongst yourselves at each table and decide who at your table is going to be a CASA, right? Or maybe there's a red tag underneath your seat, and when you get up, if you have a red tag, you are now a CASA. Okay, I'm completely off script. Okay, so when I was a guardian ad litem, for a couple examples, Will said I had 5 minutes. My first case with a CASA was a Spanish-speaking CASA. I was working with a family that only spoke Spanish. She was a lifesaver. She took it upon herself to help this family maneuver the system, a single mom with 3 kids. A single mom with 3 kids that had to get that health insurance, had to get those food stamps, got a bus ticket, transportation, got the children after-school tutoring, got passport. And she navigated that very confusing system we would all be confused by the system, let alone if we were Spanish speaking. And she made a big difference. The other case that sticks out in my mind is that as a guardian ad litem, I had a child that had to unfortunately testify against her father, which we don't want to do in family court. Every now and then we have to do it. So this child, the CASA was getting the child ready for court and was constantly texting me, calling me, emailing, saying, where do we sit? Where do we go? What's it going to look like? And I was answering her questions, and she said, why don't we do kind of a mock hearing or a mock conversation? I was like, that's a brilliant idea. So I went out to the house with the CASA, and we kind of staged the situation for the child. And it meant the world to that child to be able to run through it, have a practice. And if it weren't for the CASA, I would have never thought of that. And after that, I did that quite often because it meant a difference for that child. Okay, I'm doing pretty good. How am I doing on time? Well, yeah, good. As a judge, it was about 2 months ago, and it was an old case, but it was a new case for me, and it was a new case for my team of attorneys. And we were doing the pretrial, and we were going through the orders, and the CASA stood up and said, wait a minute. We were all like, wow. Okay, sidebar. If you're a CASA, don't be afraid to talk in court. You are there, you are representing the child, you got something to say. Chances are you know more than anyone else in the case. So don't forget to stand up and say, wait a minute. And she did. She stood up and said, wait a minute, even supervised visits for this father is going to be harmful to the child, which is wild. I mean, oh my goodness. And so we all stopped. I dug through the file. It was about that thick. At the very beginning, I saw what she was talking about, and I changed my order. And it was because of that CASA I did, and she made a difference, and that's the difference CASA makes. So thank you. So those are 2 examples. I just have 25 more. No, poor Will. He's like, oh my God. I am a little bit of a stand-up comedian. I have two stickies on my bench. One is, don't be a stand-up comedian. And the other one is, don't forget CASA. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. From the bottom of my heart, thank you so much.
Judge, your sticky notes are much more profound than the one that I have on the anchor desk every morning. It just says FYF, fix your face. Because a lot of times I'm like, what is it? What did they say? Also, when I go back to work today, I'm going to start demanding a little bit more respect because, Judge, what you did was beautiful. When she said, I'm off script, and you all just sat there like, go ahead, we'll wait. With me, when I get off script at work, I have 6 producers screaming, wrap it up, Big Brother Longwind. Come on, we got to get someplace else. For 37 years, CASA volunteers have been the voice for thousands of vulnerable children. But before they became a volunteer, before they become one, they are interviewed, screened, and must have completed 30 hours in training to be effective advocates to these children so you can do exactly what the judge was speaking about. To be a CASA is to be committed to children and changing their stories for the better. We use the word story purposefully. We like to say that CASA may not change the world, but we can change the world of one child. So to showcase the impact one person can have, we'd like to share a video of former CASA kid Ryan and his CASA volunteer, Vana.
Be the change that you wish to see in the world, Gandhi. People deserve an opportunity in life, and yet so many don't get it year by year. And I'm not talking about adults, I'm talking about children. CASA is a big, important thing in the world, and not many people know about it. Life throws curveballs as a child that you should never have to endure, even at an age to where you can't defend yourself.
So what kind of curveballs were you thrown?
In my life, there was all different types of curveballs. There was the problems with my mother's drug use. There was not knowing where we were going to be at the next day, let alone what we would eat the next day. Just things that kids shouldn't have to go through. Another big thing was that I always had my grandmother, and she was always there for me. So that was the one thing that I could count on besides anything.
So what was it like for you when you found out that I was going to be your CASA?
For me, it was just different because, like, so many words I had heard throughout the whole court process, and one word I had never heard was CASA. It was just something new, and it gave some sort of hope, I guess you could say, to know that there would be someone else that could look in and see how we were doing and just know that at the end of the day it would be okay. Just, it was a new thing that came in. We were so used to having social workers and therapists and just everything in between. But
When did you think that I was someone that you could trust?
it took a few times for us to be able to know that we could trust her, just because so many people came and went. But it was probably the time when she went swimming with us in the pool that we realized that Vanna had an impact in our life that we had not yet had. And it's something we didn't want to lose. Not today, not then, not ever. And to this day, we're still grateful that she's been in our life.
How has having a CASA affected you even now? Clearly you're grown. Here I am.
It's affected me in many ways. There was just having her in my corner did the most of all. Just knowing that that one person would speak for me when I couldn't speak for myself. Just having someone to back me up when my mom wouldn't, or my siblings or anything. And just that one person you can count on.
So you knew that I was going to bat for you.
I did.
Yeah. And even though kids don't go into the courtroom, that's really what we're doing. So I'm glad that you know that.
Yeah. How long have you been a CASA volunteer?
I have been a CASA for going on 10 years now.
What does being a CASA mean to you?
It means I get to be involved with great kids like you.
Why did you choose to be my CASA?
I wanted to advocate for you. I wanted to be a part of your story. I wanted to try to help you have some stability. You've just been through so much at such a young age already. And I wanted to step into that story with you.
What was your first impression of me?
Those brown eyes. I I looked at you and I walked into what seemed like a very tough, I hate to use this word, but it seemed like a hopeless situation. And I looked at you and I saw hope. And it just in your eyes. I mean, I saw something very positive, and I just knew that you could be something and that you could rise above your circumstances, and you have.
They never had a chance, and it's sad to say, but most of the kids around here are like that. And just looking at them, how they grow up and they just act like everything's okay day to day, and just that everything goes on, and it doesn't. It just stops. And nobody else understands that besides the child. Because I just had someone that could speak for me, like make everything I wanted to be heard. Anything I had to say or wanted to do, they could do for me, and that's what they needed. The hardest thing was, like you said, if you could trust them. That was the hardest part, just learning to see if they were the person for you, because people come and go as they do in life, and just you have to find that one match that does it. I had some friends growing up that went through a lot of trouble with mental abuse from their parents, like their parents taking out their anger on them for no reason. And at times like that, they really would have needed someone to speak out for them or just be there for them to lean on. And there was other times when kids like just didn't have food or anything and nobody else to help them. And it's just sad to say that it happens day to day.
I've learned things from Ryan. It's not all about what I did for him, it's about what he's done for me too. And one of the sweetest memories that I have is probably that first, I don't know if it was first or second Christmas that I knew Ryan, and he gave me a gift. And it was a card. I recently sent him a picture of it because I still have it. It was just a card, and it was a candy cane. And I thought, here this kid is, that sometimes doesn't know where his next meal is coming. And he's given this to me. So he taught me a lot about giving. And I'm thankful for that.
I would honestly tell them to run, but you have to be stern and you have to be ready for a child with a tough past, because there's a lot of things these kids have been through and you're coming to them for a reason, because they need somebody to lean on and talk to and advocate for them. And as long as you can handle that, you can do it. It's true. It's true.
Ryan, of course, a big thanks for sharing that story. Ivana, your dedication, thank you so very much. CASA volunteers make a real impact in the lives of children. So to learn how you can help, I want to bring up Tim Galbraith, who may be recognized as Luann's husband.
Hello. Thank you all for being here. I am Tim Galbraith. I'm going to try. Luann is very emotional, and when she found out about getting the award, she started crying. This was a month ago. So we've been going through this. And I said, it'll be great, it'll be fine. And now I'm going to get up here and be emotional. But I am the proud husband of Luann, who's been a CASA volunteer for 8 or 9 years now. I can personally attest to the dedication, the passion, the energy she puts into the work and advocating for children. And I know Judge Shelley talked about the judges who put so much stock in what the CASA brings to them, because they truly are eyes and ears for the judge. I didn't know much about CASA when Luann started. But what I came to understand is they are eyes and ears for the judge. They are not working for the attorneys. They are working for the children, and they advocate for the children. One story, just her very first case, involved a troubled mother with 5 children, and I think they were under the age of 6. I mean, this was a bad, tough situation, going through foster homes. The mother would get them back, they'd go back. And through really the work that Luann did in spending time with these kids, spending time with the mother, the multiple fathers, and really helped to bring this over the course of a year to a very successful conclusion, where this one foster family adopted 4 of the children. And I got to go to excuse me. I went to the adoption ceremony, which is just a very fulfilling thing to see. Gosh, I wasn't going to do this. Fulfilling thing to see the outcome for these children, and it directly goes back to the work that the CASA did. Now, Luann was honored today because of her dedication and passion. I know that every volunteer in here, you could say the same thing. And you do it from your heart. You do it from a level of compassion and wanting to advocate for children. And Luann's done that all her life. So, and even as a mother, our 3 kids are here. And hopefully I know they've seen the role model that their mother has given. So, but anyway, I've kind of lost my way here. Just Luann, she's been very active with the kids. I have never heard her going swimming though with her children, Vonna. So that might be next. I don't know. Just, that could be. That could be here now. So volunteers, and you all know, you work for free. You don't get paid. You do it out at your time, and passion is on your own time, and you're doing that for free. But there's an infrastructure behind that behind the whole CASA organization, the organization, the coordination, the administration. It takes, I think, $1,400 for each volunteer just to get trained up. Not to mention the ongoing training that they do. So there's a whole infrastructure behind CASA that requires support. And I think, Will, you said that 20 to 25% of that support has to come from donations in the community. Now we've got some challenge donors here today. That are, I think, putting up, some number of out of $30,000 or something that to be matched dollar for dollar for what gets donated today at this breakfast. So I'm here to ask you to open your hearts if you're going to be to be a volunteer. That's a great thing, and open up your wallets too. And help support this wonderful organization. Now, you don't have a red tag under your seat, but you do have red envelopes on your table. So we would ask you to please take those, take a look, consider what you've heard today, and please make a donation. And if there's extra envelopes, take those with you. And become an advocate at least to say, hey, did you know about CASA? I just understand what they do and the impact they have. And you can help spread the word about CASA and the good things that CASA does and what an asset for the community it really is. So with that, I'm going to step down and ask everybody to take a few minutes to think what they can do to support this great organization. All right.
There's a great movie quote that I think is appropriate here, and I never quote movies. I always quote movies. Maybe you can guess the movie. Laughter through tears is my favorite emotion. Can you guess the movie? Steel Magnolias, Dolly Parton. And I say that because anytime you can go from kind of tearing up a little bit to chuckling, that means the I care factor is very, very high. And I think we saw that. So as he said, we want to give you some time, a few minutes to complete the donor card, which is in the red envelope in the middle of your table. Once you complete that, please return them in the purple envelope at your table. As a reminder, and this is big, if you give today or mark your pledge for Embrace a Child, your donation will actually have twice the impact. Here's what I mean by that. Thanks to our challenge donors, your gift will be matched dollar for dollar up to $33,000. One more time for the people in the back. Your gift today will be matched $1 or dollar for dollar up to $33,000. Today's challenge donors are Carol and Bill Lomica, William Alden, Kosair Charities, Texas Roadhouse, Ohio Valley Educational Cooperative, and Oxmoor Auto Group. So please take a few minutes to fill out your donor cards. All All right, everybody. A very powerful warning. We'll remind you also, if your handwriting is terrible, you can actually text a donation into the number that's on your screen. So we know that you've got to get out to work. We don't want to keep you any longer. It's going to be a great day. It's going to be a busy weekend. So thank you all so much for joining us this morning and listening to how CASA can impact the lives of a child in our community. If you do one thing after today, we hope you tell a friend, a family member, or a colleague about CASA. On behalf of CASA's Board of Directors and staff, thank you again for attending this year's Embrace the Child Breakfast. Everybody have a great day.